What's up, man? Y'all see the title? Mikey Garcia will beat Errol Spence Jr. I'm telling y'all, he's gonna beat Errol Spence Jr. He sees the same things that I seen that he can take advantage of against Errol Spence. And for one, the fight against Robert Easter Jr. was an important fight, a great barometer for Mikey Garcia for these reasons. Mikey Garcia, I mean, you have Robert Easter Jr., right? And Errol Spence. Both of these two dudes, they have about the same type of dimensions, but Robert Easter Jr. is a little bit longer. He's a little bit taller than Earl. He's like 2 inches taller than Earl. His arm reach is a little bit longer than Earl's. If you look at Robert Easter Jr. against Mikey Garcia, and then you go back and look at Errol Spence Jr. against Lamont Peterson, they kind of fight in a similar fashion in the center of the ring. Now, this is where Mikey Garcia is going to try to keep this fight. He's going to try to keep the fight in the center of the ring. And that's his best option. That's his best way of pulling off the upset. He cannot back up against the ropes. If you look at Robert Easter Jr. punch selection against Mikey Garcia and go back and look at Errol Spence punch selection against Lamont Peterson, they have the same punch selection in the center of the ring. They both like to jab, 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 feint the jab, jab, and then go to the body. Robert Easter Jr. does about the same jab pattern and going to the body. You know how Mayweather do that stab to the body? They both do the same thing. And another thing with Errol Spence Jr. that I picked up on, that I kind of picked up on, you know, looking at a couple fights. When he throws his jab, he pushes his jab out. He doesn't, it's not an authoritative jab. It's not a committed jab. It's not a jab to, if you look at Oscar, the way he throws his jab, if you look at a Larry Holmes, I'm trying to figure out guys that got real good jabs. They flick their jab out. Errol Spence he pushes his jab out. And when he throws his jab, you know he's southpaw. When he throws his jab, he drops his right hand. If you see him in that, in several of his fights, even going back to when I seen him against Kell Brook, when I seen him against, you know, other fighters that made him, you know, sit there and respect them. You know, he had respect for he didn't have any respect for Bundu. He didn't have no respect for Algieri. He didn't have no respect for the opponents before that. He had respect for Kell Brook. He had respect for Lamont Peterson. And you can see those fights, and you can see how his punch pattern is, because you could pick up on his punch pattern. He drops his right hand dangerously when he throws his jab. And the one thing about his punch pattern and Robert Easter, he's not as fast as Robert Easter Jr. And Mikey Garcia was having a little bit of trouble with Robert Easter Jr. because Robert Easter Jr., he has fast hands, and his jab is, and Robert Easter Jr. throws a better jab than Errol Spence. His is more of a flick, bop, 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 trying to put some pain and trying to, you know what I'm saying, put some pain on you. Errol Spence is, like I said, he's more of a push guy. He pushes his jab out. Not that it's not effective. It's just he's pushing it out. It's easier to time his jab when he pushes his jab out. It's not as easy to time. That's why Mikey Garcia took a couple rounds, 2 or 3 rounds. Even though he did drop Robert Easter, it's because Robert Easter made a mistake of being in the pocket and giving up his height a little bit too much when he bent down, you know, at the waist a little bit. And Mikey Garcia threw a jab, and Robert Easter, just like Errol Spence, they react weird when they get punched with it, when they get hit by a punch. Errol Spence, when you hit him with a punch, he dips his head to the same side every time. That's why same thing with Mikey Garcia picked up on Robert Easter that second round when he dropped him. When he threw his jab, Robert Easter dipped back to the same side, and that's why Mikey Garcia was able to throw that cleanup hook, left hook, and that's what put Robert Easter down. When you look at Errol Spence, he dips to one side every time when he's uncomfortable when you hit him with a punch. And he doesn't react. He doesn't have a good reaction when he gets hit by a punch. It seems like he flares his arms up, or, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's not, he doesn't, because the simple fact, he doesn't slip punches. He doesn't move his head. His head basically stays in a straight line. And a lot of people have been saying this about Errol. Errol does not move his head. That's a big no-no against a seasoned fighter and a counter puncher slash fighter that punches with timing. Mikey Garcia is all about timing. You know what I'm saying? And Mikey Garcia got a nice jab himself. And you can jab with a guy with longer arms than you. Don't get it twisted. It's the angle in which you throw your jab. A lot of people will say, well, Mikey Garcia will not be able to jab with Errol because Errol has longer arms, because those guys never been in the boxing gym before. They don't understand angles. If you throw your jab at a certain angle, you can land your jab just as well as the guy with the longer arms. It's all about distance and timing. That's what it's about. And yes, Errol is a bigger fighter. He's gonna come in, he's gonna be bigger, he's gonna be stronger. Just because you're bigger and stronger doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be successful. Because I'm gonna tell you this, skillful wise, Mikey Garcia is on another level than Errol Spence skill wise. Well, the best thing Errol Spence got going for him is not his size, not his strength, is that he's committed to the body. But he's only committed to a two-hand punch to the body when you're up against the ropes or you're bagging up in retreat from him. If you push him on his back foot sometimes and keep him off balance and move around like I suspect Mikey Garcia is going to do, Mikey Garcia is not going to run around the ring. He's going to use angles. Mikey Garcia is not a guy. Mikey Garcia doesn't have fast twitch feet, you know what I'm saying, like a Manny Pacquiao or Floyd or Terrence Crawford. But he understands, because he's been in boxing all his life, he understands how to move in an educated way. Now I'm not taking anything away from Errol Spence. I do not see in Errol Spence what everybody sees in Errol Spence. I just see a good fighter in Errol Spence. I don't see anything close to a great fighter. Don't get it twisted that a guy stopping a lot of guys and say, oh, he's a great fighter. No. When he gets in there with someone that has more skill or just as good a skill as him, you're not going to see him just walk through guys. Yes, he stopped Carol Brook, but he didn't walk through Carol Brook. He stopped Peterson, but he didn't walk through Peterson. Took 7 to 8 rounds when he finally, Peterson finally got, his trainer kind of like told him he wasn't going out no more. It's kind of like throwing in the towel. So Errol Spence doesn't have devastating power. He has accumulation power. Over the rounds, he breaks you down, and he's going to break you down, especially if you fight in front of him. Mikey Garcia will not fight in front of him. Now, there's going to be times Mikey Garcia is going to have to stand his ground, and fight Errol Spence off. I'm pretty sure he knows that. He understands that. But he has to limit the amount of damage he takes round after round. And if he stays in the center of the ring, he can limit the amount of damage he takes round after round, especially to his body, because you don't, as a smaller fighter coming in, you don't want a big guy going to your body and be able to go to your body at will round after round, because yes, it's going to slow you down. It's going to break you down. Like I said, Errol Spence does go to the body very well, but he goes with a two-fisted going to the body only when you're up against the ropes or you're bagging up in retreat. Now, why do I say Mikey Garcia is going to win this fight? Errol Spence, all the pressure is on Errol Spence to perform. He has to get Mikey Garcia out of there within 5 rounds. If this fight starts going to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Mikey Garcia is fighting very well, because I believe it's going to be a close fight, but if Mikey Garcia is fighting very well, the pressure is going to build and build and build, and Mikey Garcia is going to get more and more confident. So this fight plays into Mikey Garcia's hand because he understands that Errol Spence has to come in there and get him out of there. And Errol Spence is going to have to come to him. He doesn't have to find Errol Spence. Errol Spence is going to come straight in the front door. Errol Spence thinking in his mind, this guy is smaller than me. I can walk through this guy. I spar with the Charlo brothers all the time. I spar with light heavyweights. I hurt them in the gym. I should be able to walk to him no problem. That's the mistake he's going to make. If Errol Spence wants to stop Mikey Garcia in the fashion that he wants to stop him in the round in which he wants to stop him in, like about round 5, round 4, round 6 maybe, he's going to have to be very successful with his jab. Very successful and push Mikey Garcia back. If he doesn't, if Mikey Garcia go in here and match him with the jab, it's going to be a long night for Errol Spence, and people need to get ready. And if Mikey Garcia loses the fight, I don't want to hear I'm not going to say it. I don't want to hear Mikey Garcia fans and supporters say, oh, Mikey Garcia was too small. No, because he's taking the fight. He's taking the fight, and he's saying, I can beat him. So that means all the small stuff goes out the window. If Errol Spence goes up in here and this fight gets close, and it's a close fight, and Errol Spence maybe win on the scorecards, get a little notch on the scorecards, Errol Spence stock is going to drop tremendously. So that's why I say all the pressure is on Errol Spence. All of the pressure. So he's going to have to go in here and perform and be great, like people think he is. Like I said, I don't see anything great about Errol Spence. He's a basic fighter with a tremendous body attack. And if you look at his fights, if you really pay attention, if you have an eye for boxing, you will understand he's a basic fighter. Now, he does some basic things well, but in the things that he does well, he leaves himself open down the middle because he doesn't move his head. And he's a southpaw, right? Y'all got to know that Mikey Garcia, right hand, lines up with the southpaw is very vulnerable to the right hand. And that's one of Mikey Garcia's power punches. Mikey Garcia got power in both hands. Now, we got to see if it carries up to 147. I think he will have respectable power at 147. Now, I think he will have enough power to hurt Errol Spence, to get Errol Spence's attention, where Errol Spence won't think he can walk straight through him. And that right hand that Mikey Garcia has, it lines up perfectly. And with a guy that doesn't move his head already, he's going to be lined up all night. The thing is, for me, what I want to be, when I watch this fight, what I want to see the first 2 or 3 rounds, how Mikey Garcia is going to come out defensively, how he's going to handle himself defensively. And if he can avoid backing up to the ropes, if he can keep this fight in the center of the ring 85 to 90% of the time, Mikey Garcia is going to win this fight, y'all. Well, it's going to be so close, it's going to be a controversy, and you're going to have people say Mikey Garcia won, Errol Spence supporters say he won, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's a close fight. Mikey Garcia go in here and do his thing. I'm going to say Mikey Garcia won the fight. And it's going to be a thing like this. If Errol Spence don't go in here and dominate this man, a lot of people going to be looking at it like, man, they're gonna start giving rounds to Mikey Garcia just because he's hanging in there past expectations. I hear a lot of people saying round 5. Some people say round 1, he gonna walk straight through him and knock him out. So Mikey Garcia, I believe, is gonna win in a close decision. I think it's gonna be a nice close fight, but I think it's gonna be a close decision, and I think Mikey Garcia gonna pull it off, man. I think he's gonna pull off the upset. Now, will he expose Errol Spence? No. He's not gonna expose Errol Spence. Not in my book, because I don't see Errol Spence as being a great fighter. So he's not, to me, he's not gonna expose Errol Spence. To people that think Errol Spence is great, he may expose Errol Spence. But let me know what y'all think. Who y'all picking? I got Mikey Garcia in a very close fight, man. 7 rounds to 5. Let me know what y'all think. I'm out.